like that. He punched it. He punched it. If he punched it, he should use his fist, not a stick. I don't. Okay. But as the ship came closer, its sails showing red through the morning mist, he kept watching it, acting all the time as if he were not. Like you do sometimes. Have you seen a red whale? He said. Yes, I said, although I never had. Those I have seen were gray. I've seen gray whales. That's not that. Remember that movie? No, the black one too. That was Whale Rider. Remember Whale Rider? That was a good movie. You are very young and have not seen everything that swims in the world. Well, maybe she could be 24 since she knows so much. Raymond picked up a root and was about to drop it into the basket. Suddenly his mouth opened wide and then closed again. His mouth opened wide and then closed again. A canoe, he cried. A great one, bigger than all of our canoes together, and red. That has to be loud because it has it's supposed to be loud. Let's look, see. And if it's a period, then it's supposed to say it normal. But when it has the stick with the point on it at the end, look, eyes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eyes. When it has the stick with the point at the end, it's like a shouting sound. That's trying to say like a shouting sound. And when it has like the curve, that's the question mark, which isn't here right now. A canoe or a ship, pause, because that little stick right there, that means pause. It did not matter to Raymond. So it goes like this: a canoe or a ship, pause. It did not matter to Raymond. In the very next breath, he tossed the root in the air and was gone, crashing through the brush, shouting as he went. I kept on gathering roots, but my hands trembled as I dug the earth, for I was more excited than my brother. I knew that it was a ship there on the sea, and not a big canoe, and that a ship could mean many things. I wanted to drop the stick and run too, but I went on digging roots because they were needed in the village. Yep. You know what's a root? You know what a root vegetable is? Another way, because I don't really eat roots, it's like a potato. A potato is a root, and like a root plant, and like a sweet potato is also a root plant. It's like those stuff that we eat. Yeah, I know you like potato, like French fries. It's a root plant. So it's not like roots like regular, like tree roots or plant roots or anything like that. I think it means like roots that, like root plants, like what we eat, like potato and especially sweet potato. They're just the only two I could think of right now because those are the only good ones that I like we like. Anyhow, I don't think the others count for much when it comes to us. By the time I filled the bucket, the Alouette ship had sailed around the wide kelp bed that encloses our island and between the two rocks that guard Coral Cove. Word of its coming had already reached the village of Galasat. It's like Ghalas, and that's stripe, and then SAT. I don't know what that means. Carrying their weapons, our men sped along the trail, which winds down to the shore. Our women were gathering at the edge of the mesa. I'll look that up. I think it means something like like mesa. I mean, I know in Spanish it means table, but I don't think it means table in this right now. It means something else. I made my way through the heavy brush and moving swiftly down the Raven until I came to the sea cliffs. There I crouched on my hands and knees. Below me lay the cove. The tide was out and the sun shone on the white sand of the beach. You know, like in Sarasota. Sarasota has white sands. Half the men from our village stood at the water's edge. The rest were concealed among the rocks at the foot of the trail, ready to attack the intruders should they prove unfriendly. Now that is very vicious of you. You're not like Meat Pro that's just going to be like kill, 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 kill. That's just too Hollywood. That's just too Hollywood. Chill. As I crouched there on the tall yon bushes, trying not to fall over the cliff, trying to keep myself hidden, and yet to see and hear what went on below me. A boat left the ship. 6 men with long oars were rolling. Their faces were broad and shining dark hair fell over their eyes. When they came closer, I saw that they had worn ornaments thrust through their noses. Through here, they have like nose rings. We've seen people with nose rings before. Behind them in the boat stood a tall man with a yellow beard. I had never seen a Russian before, but my father had told me about them, and I wondered seeing the way he stood with his feet set apart, his fists on his hips, and looked at the little harbor as though it already belonged to him. Now, isn't that like if he were one of those men from the north from whom our people feared? I was certain of it when the boat slid into the shore and he jumped out shouting as he did so. His voice echoed against the rock walls of the cove. The words were strange, unlike any I had ever heard. Slowly then he spoke in our tongue. Okay, like when he means that, it means like speaking in the language, because they said like not in our tongue, like his tongue, like my tongue and your tongue. I mean, that's like another way of saying language. He spoke in our tongue. Basically, that should say he spoke in our language, but that's just how they're saying things. I came in peace and wished to party. Party? No, parley. Parley. I don't think that means like parsley. Parley means, he said to the men on the shore. None of them answered but my father, who was one of those hidden among the rocks, came forward down the sloping beach. He thrust his spear into the sand. I am the chief of GHALAS-A. You know, I don't know how that's supposed to be pronounced, so I'm really just spelling it out. He said, my name is Chief Chowlin. I was surprised that he gave his real name to a stranger. Everyone in our tribe had 2 names. The real one was a secret and seldom used, and one which was common. Yeah, like you do. For if people use your secret name, it becomes worn out and loses its magic. Cool. Thus I was known as One Apali. Okay, you could figure out what that's her name. You know what? We'll call her Wanda. Okay, we're gonna change it to Wanda. That's not okay. Because it just means the girl with long black hair. Though my secret name is Karana. My father's secret name is Chow Ing. Why he gave it to a stranger, I do not know. The Russian smiled and held up his hand, calling himself Captain Orlov. My father also held up his hand. I could not see his face, but I doubted that he smiled in return. I come with 40 of my men, said the Russian. We come to hunt sea otter. We wish to camp on your island while we are hunting. These seems like in the olden days when they didn't have Publix or Target or any of those things, because we don't have to hunt anymore. We just go to Publix. But like older days, like before you were born, and I think before I was born, they used to have to hunt. My father said nothing. He was a tall man, though not so tall as Captain Orlov, actually. He stood with his bare shoulders thrown back. That means he didn't have a shirt on. Back thinking about what the Russian had said. He was in no hurry to reply because the Alewoods had come to hunt otter. That was long in the past, but my father still remembered them. You remember another hunt, Captain Orlov said when my father was silent. I have heard of it, too. It was led by Captain Dmitri, who was a fool and is now dead. Okay, is he a fool because he died, or is he dead because he was a fool? Or basically maybe the two have nothing to do with each other and he's just basically both a fool and dead at the same time. It could be either or. The trouble arose when you and your tribe did all of the hunting. So there was trouble before. We hunted, said my father, but the one who you called a fool wished us to hunt from one moon to the next, never ceasing. Ceasing is C-E-A-S-I-G, means like never stopping. So basically you want him to hunt without like ever stopping, or pausing. That's the word. We already know, what pausing means. So that the same thing like stopping and just pausing mean the same as stopping. Also means like ceasing, like the C-E-A-S-I-N-G, that word right here. So when you see that word, it's the same as stopping and pausing. This is another one. Look, eyes, ceasing. C-E-A-S-I-N-G. This time you will need to do nothing, Captain Orlov said. Oh, ow, ow, ow. Ow. My men will hunt and we will divide the catch. One part for you to be paid in goods and 2 parts for us. The parts must be equal, my father said. Captain Orlov gazed off into the sea. We can talk of that later when my supplies are safe ashore, he replied. We already know what that means. Replied is like he answered back for it. The morning was fair with little wind, yet it was the season of the year when storms could be looked for, so I understood why the Russian wished to move onto our island. The morning was fair with little wind, yet it was the season of the year when storms could be looked for. I understood why the Russian wished to move to our island. I read that already. I missed that. It is better to agree now, said my father. Captain Orlov took 2 steps away from my father and then turned and faced him. One part to you is fair, since the work is ours and ours the risk. This is, I think, what they're doing is like negotiating, like trying to make an agreement. And like, well, I already explained what negotiating meant, just you remember. My father shook his head, like that. The Russian grasped his beard. I think he grasped his own beard and not like her father's. Since the sea is not yours, why do I have to give you any part of it? The sea which surrounds the island of the blue dolphins belongs to us, answered my father. He spoke softly as he did, although he was angry. From here to the coast of Santa Barbara, 20 leagues away. 20 leagues away. Okay, leagues like remember that book, like, I think 100 leagues or something. I forgot that one. Leagues. That's a question mark. Away. So he's asking a question. See, that's the curve to the stick. That's a question. So even though it doesn't look like it's a question, from here, so like I didn't say that right. So from here to the coast of Santa Barbara, 20 leagues away, 20 leagues away. That's how you do the question mark, like, because it has a question mark at the end. So it has to have a different pattern of how it's supposed to be said. Not only that which touches the island and where the otter live. Captain Orlov made a sound in his throat. He looked at our man standing on the beach and toward those who had now come from behind the rocks. He looked at my father and shrugged his shoulders. Suddenly he smiled, showing his long teeth. If you got long teeth, I wonder, like a long teeth like a dog or like a vampire. The parts shall be equal, he said. He said more. I did not hear it, for at that instant, in my great excitement, I moved a small rock, which clattered down the cliff and fell at his feet. Everyone at the beach looked up. Silently, I left the toyon bushes and ran without stopping until I reached the mesa. That must be like a place. Captain Orlov and his Alouette hunters moved to the island that morning, making many trips from their ship to the beach of Coral Cove. Since the beach was small and almost flooded when the tide was in, he asked if he could camp on higher ground. This my father agreed to do. We're on higher ground now than when we lived on the beach. Perhaps I should tell you about our island so you will know how it looks and where our village was and where the Alouettes camp for most of the summer. Our island is 2 leagues long and 1 league wide. And if you are standing on one of the hills that rise in the middle of it, you would think that it looked like a fish. So the island looks like a fish, like a dolphin laying on its side, like this, with its tail pointing toward the sunrise, its nose pointing towards the sunset, and its fins making reefs and the rocky ledges along the shore. Whether someone did stand there on the low hills in the days when the earth was new and because of its shape, called it the island of the blue dolphins, I do not know. Many dolphins live in our area, our sea, and it may be from them that the name came. But one way or another, this is what the island was called. Yeah, the island of the blue dolphins. You want to live there on the island of the blue dolphins? Then you can see your buddies every day. The first thing that you would notice about our island, I think, is the wind. It blows almost every day, sometimes from the northwest and sometimes from the east. Once in a long while, out of the south. All the winds except the one from the south are strong. So when the wind comes this way, it's not strong at all. It's not strong. And because of dumb hills that are polished smooth, and the trees are small and twisted, even in the canyon that runs down the Coral Cove. The village of GHA lay east of the hills on the small mesa near Coral Grove and a good spring. And about a half a league to the north is another spring. And it was there that the Alouettes put up their tents, which were made of skins. Now, not our skins and not live skins, but like when they hunted, they used to take the skins of the animals that they hunt, and they used to use them like for clothing and that kind of stuff. Because they didn't have Target or Walmart back then, and that's what they used. Don't laugh, it's not funny, because they don't mean it like skins like that. Like I know it's just, you have to get used to this. You gotta get used to the like something meaning more than one thing. And we're so low to the earth that the men had to crawl into them on their stomachs. At dusk we could see the glow of their fires. That night my father warned everyone in the village that the gods against the camp were visiting the camp. The Alouettes come from a country far to the north, he said. Their ways are not ours, nor is their language. They have come to take honor and to give us our share in many goods which they have and which we can use. In this way we shall profit. But we shall not profit if we try to befriend them. They are people who do not understand friendship. Okay, we know those kind of people. They are not those who have come before, but they are people of the same tribe that caused trouble many years ago. My father's words were obeyed. We did not go to the Alouette camp, and they did not come to our village. But this is not to say that we did not know what they did, what they ate, and in what way they cooked it. How many otter were killed each day, and other things as well. For someone was always watching from the cliffs while they were hunting, or from the raven when they were in camp. Ramo, for instance, brought news about Captain Orlov. In the morning when he crawls out of his tent, he sits on a rock and combs out his beard like a cormorant's wing. We'll look up that word, but later. It must be a kind of bird, because like fish don't have wings or anything like that. So cormorant, it has to be like a type of bird, because only birds have wings other than like turkeys or chickens and ostriches, but they're all like in the bird family. My sister Ulape, who was 2 years older than I, which if she's 12, she's 14. But if she's 24, then she's 26. I think she's 12. So her sister must be 14. Two more. 12. 2 years older, 12, 13, 14. Gathered all the curious news of all. She swore that she saw there was an Alouette girl among the hunters. She is dressed in skins just like men, Olapi said, but she wears a fur cap, and under the cape she has thick hair that falls to her waist. No one believed Ulape, Everyone laughed at the idea that hunters would bother to bring their wives with them. They were like, in older days, people were very sexist, and women only had like simple roles. Like maybe they didn't hunt or anything, and they would just like cook, clean, and have babies. And like they don't like have jobs and stuff, and all the men did things together. Those were like in like the older days, but we have like more choices now and stuff, like things like that. Like now they could be like working and have careers and be like lesbians even, so they don't even have to be wives to anybody. The Alouettes also watched our village, otherwise they would not have known about the good fortune which befell us soon after they came. It happened this way. Every spring is a poor season for fishing. The heavy seas and winds of winter drive the fish into deep water, where they stay until the weather is settled and where they are hard to catch. During this time, the village eats sparingly, mostly from stores of seeds harvested in autumn. Times were hard those days. I'm telling you, Target's the best thing that ever happened in Publix. Like, we just go to the supermarket and we could have all the food we want all year round. Word of our good fortune came on a stormy afternoon, brought by Ulape, who was never idle. She had gone on a ledge on the eastern part of the island, hoping to gather sheep shellfish. She was climbing a cliff on the way home when she heard loud noise behind her. At first she did not see what had caused the noise. She thought it was the wind echoing through one of the caves and was about to leave when she noticed silvery shapes on the floor of the cove. The shapes moved and she saw that it was a school of large white bass, each one as big as she was. Ew, those are big fish, because if she's 14, then she's got to be a pretty big girl. So those were big fish. Big fish, because a 14-year-old is maybe this high. So those fish were bigger than she was. Yeah. Pursued by killer whales, each which prey upon them when seals are not to be found. The bass had tried to escape by swimming toward shore, but in their terror they had mistaken the depth of the water and had been tossed onto the rocky edge.